These long videos could be good if they are filled with only criticisms of the actual movie, but no, they have to fucking plethora of racist jokes and sexist jokes. This is not meant for humor. They know that.
Alright, with that kind of introduction, I realize people coming in will think this is a bash video. We're just gonna hate MauLer again. No, this was originally planned as a comedic thing. It's still gonna be mostly a comedic thing. But I am gonna insert a little piece from his Last Jedi review, because at the end of his Last Jedi critique, he doesn't really talk about The Last Jedi, he just talks about himself. I swear to God, he just talks about himself, and he gets into a little weird area, which is relevant. So again, this is still going to be comedy. I plan this as comedy, and I will continue it in that vein, but I do think it's important to get the context. So he's going to speak a little bit, basically responding to people talking about his video game criticism, and then we'll get into the alleged issue in Solo.
Is missing the point by that much. What are you both talking about? I talk about the themes and the story in Dark Souls 2 about 4 minutes after the build diversity in the video. He just didn't watch that part, so he assumes it doesn't exist. On top of that, his fanbase had one consistent complaint about my videos. People kept saying that the whole measured response title doesn't make sense and that 10 hours cannot be considered measured. First of all, measured doesn't mean short, you fools. And secondly, it's in reference to H-Bomber Guy himself. His response videos are titled that way, and so when I responded to him, I wanted to mirror that. The cherry on the cake of this utter mess is that someone responded to the criticisms of the length and said, I swear there's something up with right-wing gamers and their inability to edit. I'm a right-wing gamer now. What are you talking about? What did my video even cover that was remotely political? I make a point to avoid that side of discussion unless absolutely necessary, and yet I am right-wing? I have to say it was an interesting experience, as I have never had a spotlight from someone that popular, but they missed the mark so fundamentally that I could only read hundreds of negative comments about the work overall from people who hadn't even watched beyond 5 minutes, and that is sad. I then treated to a showering scene where Han and Chewie get wet and stay about 1 inch away from each other. Why? Why was that your vision for Star Wars? Why did you look at Star Wars and say, you know what would bring this together? You know what's missing from these two guys? A scene where they shower together. Thank you for bringing us that important event.
So the issue apparently, as far as I can construct it, and I'm going to use a stylized term to speak on the issue, which is, I will call it Momo. Now, I am well aware that Kaloum is a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer does have Momos in its stories. And I am also aware that he knows Momos in real life. He has Momos on the EFAP. We have to be careful, although I'm teasing his Momophobia. I think that's a fair thing to say, because I don't see how else you could interpret it. I mean, he's saying that Han and Chewie are in a shower together. Han is a male, Chewie is a male. I think we can, draw the obvious inference about what they were up to. And I guess my criticism or response would be, of course, wait, are you seriously contending? Is this seriously your thing that Disney or Ron Howard or Ryan Johnson, because apparently he thinks Ryan Johnson engineered Solo too. I don't know why he thinks that. I don't know. So all these people, all these groups came together in a secret room and are like, we need a shower scene with Han and Chewie because, we want to help the Momos in real life. There's a Momo conspiracy in Solo, which you uncovered. Now, it's not totally crazy, right? Rise of Skywalker does have a lesbian moment. And, of course, there has always been a lot of sexual metaphors, sexual imagery in Star Wars. Can't deny that. But aside from Rise of Skywalker, I think it's been fundamentally heterosexual, actually. When you think about it, Ron Howard was supposed to do Phantom Menace. So let's go along this thinking for a little bit. So Ron and George are talking, and George shows him, hey, look, we got the Jar Jar. This is a great little character I made up. And Ron goes, George, I need to know something. What is it? He's a Gungan. Kids will love it. George, I have to know. What do you gotta know, Ron? I'm all ears. Is Jar Jar, on our side? Or is he playing for the other side? And George's like, what do you mean? I understand, Ron. What are you talking about? I mean, is Jar Jar, him and the ladies, are they friendly with one another? I'm sure George would pause and be like, gosh darn it, that's a work of genius. I never thought about that. I thought Jar Jar was just, Jar Jar. he's just a funny guy. But hey, you're saying he could be like, more. He could be like a Momo in the Phantom Menace. We could help the Momos because I like the Momos. I got tons of Momos in my trilogies, like Luke and Leia. I mean, she basically looks like a boy. So there's the message. And Ron is like, I totally agree with the message. I just think we need to go further. How? How do we do it, Ron? Well, let's say I make the Solo movie, and right in the middle of it, Chewie and Han do something together. What are they going to do, Ron? They're going to shower together, George. I freaking love it. Yes, let's have them touch and shower one another. Yes, sir. Yes, that's. Okay, here, I'm going to stop now because somebody would be crazy enough to think I'm being totally serious. There isn't a Momo conspiracy. There isn't a weird Momo thing. I'll be totally honest. I had not a clue what the hell he was talking about. And I've seen Solo twice. So I'm actually close to him in terms of the quality. It's got too many good things to be a bad movie, but it does have a lot of issues. So I would agree. It's not great. It's not a great movie. So I had no idea this scene was in there. And I'm like, what is he talking about? And, because I had to double check. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I gotta be honest, if there is a Momo conspiracy, it didn't work because I don't even remember they put that in there. And I think, like most normal people, I think we understood it's just comedy. It's just silly comedy. Now, the more interesting part here is him and his methodology, because he's like, I'm so objective. I just look at objective stuff. And usually the rage videos are about plot contradictions. So, what is the plot contradiction with the shower scene? Like, how does that contradict the plot or contradict the characters? It's just silly. It's just silly. So, but he brought it up. He spends some real seconds on this, and you're like, why is this an issue? And we'll get back to the beginning, saying, oh, I'm right-wing gamer now. People call me right-wing. Why you call me right-wing? I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. What do you mean I'm right-wing? I mean, it is true. You could be on the left and be momophobic. That is totally true. Nevertheless, there is a huge overlap between the right-wing authoritarians and people who hate Momo. I'm not saying MauLer hates Momos necessarily. I'm just saying he does seem to suffer consistently from Momo panic a lot. This isn't the only place. This is one of the more funny places, but he does bring this up quite a few times. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's illegitimate to call you right-wing. I mean, we just don't have any evidence that he's left-wing, so we're sort of stuck. It is a bit of a binary, so I'm not sure where we're going to go with this. But really getting all hot and bothered. Are you calling me right-wing? I'd like to see where. Okay, you release one video, and then months later you release another video, and you're angry about possible Momo imagery and Solo, which I, like probably the vast majority of people, have totally forgotten was even in the movie. Like, I don't know, was it there, I guess? Maybe there is a Momo conspiracy. I'm not saying there isn't. Maybe there is. Maybe Solo was building up the Skywalker, and those 2 seconds, which are censored in many places, will lead to some future Momo thingy. Would he make an exception like Jeremy? Jeremy doesn't need to be against female Momos if it's not pornographically. So, who knows? Maybe he's very independent. Like, no, I only dislike the male Momos. But the female Momos are perfectly well. Oh, there you go. Maybe he's open-minded after all. Oh, we'll see. Alright, this has been Star Wars Analyzed on Kaloom's possible problems with Momos in Solo? I don't even know how to term this. I'm grasping at straws of how to even categorize what he just talked about. Alright, if you like the content, please hit the like button and or subscribe. Please consider supporting the work on Patreon. Thank you for listening.